thanks for joining me again for another Pixie Talks review vlog. Pixie Talks, reviews and vlogs at Pixie Talks. For the next few weeks, I'm going to be delving into some of my all-time favorite things. Last year around this time, I did two such videos, one top 5 favorite anime video, and then one top 5 animated films from my childhood video. This year I've got 3 top 5 videos planned, and we're going to start things off with my top 5 favorite animated films of all time. Now these are just in alphabetical order because what I would want to watch on any given day would change according to my mood. But let's dive right into the first one, Digimon, the movie. One, I will admit, is purely for fangirlism and nostalgia factor. It's actually kind of a hot mess of a movie. It doesn't flow very well, and even fans of the show tend to agree that it's not actually very good. But I think that you'd be hard-pressed to find anyone who grew up with Digimon who would not watch it if it was on. The reason that it's such a weird mess plot-wise is because it's actually a splicing together of 3 Japanese movies: Digimon Adventure, Our War Game, and The Golden Digimentals. Those are each pretty darn good movies in their own right, but when awkwardly cut together, turn into a seriously strange, convoluted concoction. Despite this, I actually prefer the English splice version, mostly because it's so weird and oddly paced. And let's be honest, for nostalgia purposes, nothing can top this. Pokemon, the first movie, might come close, but in the end I have to give it to Digimon. I also have to mention that the bits taken from Digimon Adventure and Our War Game are what led me to one of my absolute favorite anime directors, Mamoru Hosoda. His incredibly unique art style is absolutely beautiful to me, and I love every movie I've ever seen by him. While this may not be oft pointed to as his best work, it holds a very special place in my heart. Chances, the changes are all yours to make. The mold of your life is in The Hobbit. I love this movie, and it may actually be my favorite film of all time, period. It will always enchant and mesmerize me with its beautifully otherworldly art style, its gorgeous music, and its setting that immerses me in the realms of fantasy and imagination. This movie was my very first introduction as a child to the works of J.R.R. Tolkien, and by extension, my very first introduction to the fantasy genre in general. I love it so much, and every time I watch it, I'm blown away by it all over again. It's an incredibly good piece of film brought to life by Rankin and Bass. While I may not be the hugest fan of Rankin and Bass's Christmas specials, yes, I know, gasp, shock, I absolutely love their fantasy films, and this one moves me in all sorts of ways. If you have not seen this version of The Hobbit, I implore you to check it out because it is absolutely gorgeous. It has a few flaws here and there, but in the end it makes up for with an incredible amount of heart and magic. It's raw, it's passionate, and it's beautifully true to a beautiful book. I could rave forever about how much I love this movie. It encompasses everything that I love about fantasy and inspires my own imagination. Now, a list of favorite animated films could hardly be called complete without a title from Hayao Miyazaki. Miyazaki is one of Japan's most celebrated and acclaimed anime directors, and certainly not without cause. All of his work is phenomenal, and I was hard-pressed to pick a favorite, but I had to settle on Howl's Moving Castle. Now, I know many fans don't consider Howl's Moving Castle to be one of his best, instead pointing to Spirited Away, and while I understand the objections, I have to disagree. I think Howl's Moving Castle is utterly enchanting for a lot of reasons. First of all, it's a grand, sweeping epic of a fantasy film involving a lot of very interesting plot threads. The character of Howl is a very innocent and odd kind of character which may throw many people off. I see him as sort of a Peter Pan figure, and I really like his playful, childlike nature. But Sophie is the real heart of this story, and her journey towards self-acceptance and learning that the worth of a person is inside, not in how they look. It's really refreshing to see a movie whose lead character is not a hot young supermodel like Hollywood is always feeding us, but a girl who is considered plain, who has been turned into an old woman by a curse. Now, I don't think I have to go into the breathtaking majesty of the artwork here. Miyazaki is, of course, known for stunning visuals, and this one is absolutely no exception. I don't think this film gets nearly the praise that it deserves.
Swift as a coursing river, with all the force of a great typhoon, with all the strength of a raging fire, mysterious as the dark.
Now, just as no list of animated films would be complete without a Miyazaki feature, it also would not be complete without a Disney feature. Once again, it's very hard to pick a favorite Disney film, but hands down, I had to go with Mulan. When I was a kid, it was Mulan's tomboyish defiance of gender roles that spoke to me. I played so many make-believe games where I, too, was a lone female fighting in an army despite not being allowed. I was huge into martial arts and I loved the adventure of it all. And those are indeed some great things about this movie, but as an adult, it's something different that speaks to me. Mulan is a character who is desperately trying to find out what her place in the world is, where she belongs, what she should do, and that is, I feel, a very relatable sentiment for all of us. And it also brings me to the most common complaint about this film, the woefully underdeveloped villain. Yes, it's true. Mulan has one of the weakest Disney villains ever. But I would argue that this is actually for a reason. Mulan isn't a man versus man story, it is a man versus self story. Shan Yu is really just there as a physical representation of what Mulan is actually struggling with, and that is, of course, finding herself. And I still love how kick-ass Mulan is, of course. A strong female lead, some of Disney's best music, and some utterly brilliant character interaction and humor. I love Mulan. And lastly, Prince of Egypt. Now, Dreamworks is often the butt of many jokes. They tend to be thought of as the Disney wannabe or the not quite as good as Pixar. But there are actually several Dreamworks films that I absolutely love to pieces, and I have to say, Prince of Egypt may be their best film ever. Everything about it is breathtaking. The artwork is gorgeous, the music is amazing, the narrative flows absolutely perfectly, and the character interaction and development is heart-wrenching. I honestly can't see any flaws in this movie. It is near perfect. If you want a grand, sweeping biblical epic, I challenge you to find many as high caliber as this. They imbued this film with so much heart, so much emotion, and so much life that you can't not be swept away by it. From the slowly built romance between Moses and Zipporah, the heart-wrenching tension between Moses and Ramesses, and the soul-crushing plight of the Hebrews, this is everything that an epic should be. I love this film, and it blows me away every time I watch it. And those are my top 5 favorite animated films. It was a hard list to compile, and there are certainly more that I could talk about. And next week, I'm going to be talking about my top 5 favorite live action films. So be sure to subscribe and come back for that one. Add me on Facebook and Twitter, and I'll see you guys then. Bye!
Brown paper packages tied up with strings. These are a few of my favorite things.